Time now then for a look at the day's business news, and the price of natural gas is what we're talking about today. It's really shot up again in Europe, and our business editor Stephen Count is here to tell us a lot more about it. Stephen.
Stuart, this latest price spike began after Germany's energy regulator suspended the certification of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which links the country to Russia. It says the operator of the project needed to be compliant with German law. Now, this latest setback to the controversial pipeline sent gas prices skyrocketing. The European benchmark of Dutch TTF futures jumping by 18% on Tuesday. Today, those gas prices up another 5%. €99 is how much that's trading for. This is almost double the price that we had in September. This all coming at a time when supplies are struggling to meet demand across the continent and temperatures are plunging. Now, inflation is affecting all commodities and industries around the world. In the UK, new figures showing that inflation figures hit their highest level in 10 years. Here in France, the price of wheat is setting records at nearly €300 per tonne. And that's putting pasta makers in the east of the country at risk. Ellen Gainsford has the story.
This factory in Alsace has been making pasta for over 100 years. The team of 8 can produce a tonne a day, but since the price of wheat has gone up, they're struggling to make a profit.
Aujourd'hui, moi, je suis victime d'une hausse de 72%. Et je ne peux pas l'encaisser. On ne peut pas la répercuter et je n'arrive pas à l'encaisser.
The price of the gas that's used to help dry the pasta has also increased, as has the cost of packaging. Employees are concerned about their future.
C'est une situation inquiétante, on ne sait jamais de quoi demain est fait. On ne sait pas si on aura notre prime le 13e mois, on ne sait pas. La situation est compliquée avec toutes ces augmentations. Donc on vit au jour le jour.
The factory owner is asking distributors to help them accommodate a portion of the price rise.
On essaye de faire passer une hausse de 8% sur notre prix, ce qui représente à peu près 10 centimes. Et on a à peu près 50% de nos partenaires qui ont joué le jeu. Et on a une moitié de nos partenaires qui, pour l'instant, n'ont pas répondu.
But will customers be happy to pay the difference?
Pour sauver une entreprise, il faut bien faire un effort. Hein, c'est bête que les commerçants ne fassent pas d'effort non plus, quoi, pour les aider, quoi.
C'est déjà trop cher. Enfin, celles-là, elles sont chères. Hein. De toute façon, il y a tout qui augmente, donc non, il n'y a pas de souci, ouais, pourquoi, ouais.
Negotiations with the big supermarket suppliers will take several months, a delay that's placing the future of the pasta factory in doubt.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the stock markets for you next. European shares starting the day pretty flat. Those UK inflation figures, though, not helping things on the FTSE 100. That's down by 0.2% at the start of trading. That's also another factor involved there is the stronger sterling, the pound hitting its highest level against the euro since February of 2020. That's, of course, bad news for exporters means their products are going to be more expensive in the European market. Not much movement, though, on Paris or Frankfurt at the start of trading. On Asian markets, investors were watching the value of the dollar today, which strengthened after positive figures on retail sales from the United States. The Kospi and Seoul, though, falling by over 1% today, and that's after South Korea reported its second highest daily rate of new coronavirus infections since the pandemic began. So that's having an impact on the markets there as well. You can see the movements there across the rest of Asia, Japan and Hong Kong, both seeing falls, just some gains in Shanghai there. Now, here in France, the e-commerce giant Amazon is facing trouble getting permission to open new warehouses in several parts of the country. Environmental and labour activists have been taking legal action to block construction or conversion of certain sites. That's despite the promise of thousands of jobs, as Nicholas Rushworth now reports.
Amazon wants to expand its operations in France and envisages creating 3,000 jobs. However, it's meeting some fierce opposition for one warehouse project near the village of Fournes in the south of the country. A permit for the project, a few kilometres from the 1st century Roman aqueduct, the Pont du Gard, has been rejected. That's welcome news for these local environmental activists.
We've been fighting this since 2008. The building should already have been built. There would have been 500 lorries per day, and we estimate that we would have had around 3,000 vehicles per day.
The project would have created 600 jobs. The local mayor is disappointed it didn't get the okay.
We need economic development, whether it is Amazon or another company. We know this area is doomed to failure, to disappear, if there isn't economic development really soon.
Amazon's ambitions have led to demonstrations and court cases. Around 10 projects are meeting resistance. One near Nantes in western France was abandoned. Another near Rennes, also in western France, was blocked. This site was due to become an Amazon warehouse, but the city council bought the land. One local Green politician says he has no regrets.
Amazon did not have the model of economic development we defend here in Rennes. We know their activities are destructive for local businesses. It's a huge group.
Amazon says it wants to expand its operations harmoniously. It already has 20 sites in France.
Turning next to China, where the country's massive manufacturing industry is experiencing a shortage of workers. That's as the workforce gets older in the country and many young people aren't being tempted by traditional jobs in factories. Employers are now offering higher salaries and other incentives to get staff on board at a time when demand for Chinese goods is skyrocketing.
The city of Guangzhou is a global manufacturing hub, but its future looks uncertain. John Young, too, is worried about his factory. Every morning he heads to this parking lot to look for workers, and he's not the only one. His workers make low-cost clothes for the US and European markets. His order book is full, but with the shortage of staff, he's finding it hard to complete production. He thinks the problem is the younger generation, who prefer less physical, better paid work. Employees like Chao Chu are hard to find now. She works 14-hour days. Here, all the factory employees can take an hour-and-a-half-long lunch break. The meals are paid for by the factory, and the workers have just had a pay rise. But many say it's not enough. Since a pandemic, demand is higher than ever for China's products. But with more options than their parents had, many young Chinese workers are now deciding to take a different path as they look for employment.
Stuart, this is going to be really interesting when it comes to the supplies of those goods that come from China. If factories can't produce them at a time that raw material costs are going up as well, could be something that we see prices getting much more expensive as well.
Gives you something to talk about, at least, Stephen.
Always.
Over the next few months during the winter period here in the Northern Hemisphere. Anyway, thanks very much, Stephen Carroll with Business